The cold air inside the massive train station felt sharper than usual that morning, as if the world itself had turned its back on the woman sitting alone on the wooden bench. Her eyes were red, her breath shaky, and her hands trembled as she held her face, trying to hide the truth she could no longer escape. She had lost everything, her job, her home, and the last bit of hope she had been desperately clinging to. She thought she was invisible in the busy crowd of rushing commuters, until one tiny pair of footsteps stopped right in front of her. What she didn't know then was that the day she felt the most broken would become the day everything changed. If you believe in kindness, humanity, and second chances, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Everyday Heroes to support stories that remind us how beautiful the world can be. The woman's name was Emily, a once optimistic graphic designer whose life had spiraled downward faster than she could comprehend. After being unexpectedly laid off, a cascade of bills swallowed her savings, forcing her to give up her apartment and carry the last of her belongings in a single backpack. She came to the train station because it was one of the few public places where she could sit without being asked to leave. She had been applying for jobs nonstop, but each reply was colder than the last. That morning, the weight of her reality, being homeless, alone, and utterly defeated, became too much to bear. She buried her face in her hands and cried, silently, believing no one in the world cared enough to notice. A few yards away, a little girl named Lily stood with her father, waiting for their train. Lily was a bright, lively child with curly blonde hair and the kind of innocent curiosity that made her notice everything the adults around her ignored. She wore a red coat her grandmother had given her, and inside its pocket she carried a single $5 bill, her special money, saved from weeks of doing little chores at home. She planned to buy a small toy later that day. That was her big excitement. But when Lily spotted Emily crying alone, something inside her paused. She tugged on her father's sleeve, asking why the lady looked so sad. Her father, distracted by the station announcements, told her not to wander off. But kindness doesn't wait for permission, not in a heart like hers. She gently slipped away, stepping closer to the crying woman with hesitant but determined steps. Emily didn't notice her at first. She was too lost in her thoughts, too overwhelmed by the fear of what tomorrow might bring. But she felt a soft tug on her sleeve. When she looked up, her eyes met the bright, innocent face of the little girl standing before her. Lily didn't say a word. She simply held out her tiny hand, and in it was the crumpled $5 bill, the only money she had. Emily stared, confused and speechless. Lily just smiled, simple, pure, and without expectation, before slipping the bill into Emily's hand. In that moment, something in Emily cracked open. Not from pain, but from the shock of being seen, from being cared for when she least expected it. Tears streamed down her face again, but now they carried a different weight, gratitude, disbelief, and the faint spark of hope she thought she'd lost forever. Lily's father rushed over, embarrassed and apologetic, but before he could scold her, Emily assured him she was okay. The father looked at Emily with concern. Something in her trembling smile, the exhaustion in her eyes, made him pause. Before he could say more, his phone buzzed with their departure announcement, forcing him to gently take Lily's hand and hurry toward the train. Lily waved goodbye with the same bright innocence she arrived with, unaware she had just shifted the course of someone's life. Emily sat there holding that $5 as if it were worth $1 million. Because, in truth, in that moment, it was. Over the next hour, her thoughts wouldn't settle. That simple act of kindness echoed louder than her fears. She used the $5 not for food, not for comfort, but to buy a station hour voucher for the public computer area. She refreshed her job applications, rewrote her resume with determined focus, and even applied to positions she had once felt unqualified for. Something inside her had changed. She didn't feel worthless anymore, not after a child believed she was deserving of kindness. Just an hour later, she received an unexpected email. A major design company she had applied to months ago wanted to interview her urgently, today. Nervous and shaking, she made her way across the city to the office building. She didn't know that the company's CEO, a woman known for her sharp eye and sharp heart, had personally seen her portfolio and insisted on meeting her. The interview turned out to be more than she dreamed of. The CEO wasn't just impressed, she was moved. Emily's work carried emotion, humanity, and resilience, qualities the CEO valued deeply. By the end of the meeting, Emily wasn't just offered a job, she was offered a leadership position with immediate benefits and housing support. It felt unreal, like life had opened a door she never knew existed. Months passed. Emily rebuilt her life from the ground up. She earned promotions, stability, and slowly, the happiness she had once thought was lost forever. One late afternoon, as she walked through the city with a shopping bag in hand, she spotted something familiar, a little girl in a bright red coat, holding her father's hand, skipping toward an ice cream shop. Her heart stopped. It was Lily. Emily approached them with gentle steps, her eyes already filling with tears. She didn't tell them everything, not about the homelessness, not about the hopelessness. She simply knelt down and told Lily that her kindness that day had changed someone's entire life. Then, from her bag, she handed Lily a beautifully wrapped gift, a small token of gratitude from someone whose world she had mended with a single act. Lily didn't fully understand, but she hugged her anyway. Emily stood up, thanked Lily's father, and walked away with a heart full of warmth. She never told them she was now a millionaire, because the money wasn't the miracle. The miracle was the kindness that made everything else possible. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to Everyday Heroes. Your support helps us spread more true and inspiring stories. Before the ending, tell us in the comments, do you believe a small act of kindness can change someone's entire life? And as Emily walked into her bright new future, she held onto one truth forever: sometimes the smallest hands hold the greatest power to heal a broken world.